This is the finishing maneuver. My name is Jacob Charnow,
I'm Jared Wilder.
and once again, we will be coming at you with reactions from last Sunday's WWE Payback 2020. Let's start off right away. Bobby Lashley taking down Apollo Crews for the U.S. title. We figured this was going to happen. Jared, what are your thoughts immediately on this match?
All right, this card and this match started out an entire night of having been way better than I really expected it to be. This first match, when I really haven't connected with Lashley as much throughout the years, not just this last run, and Apollo Crews, I wanted him to be a lot better than he was, but I'll say he had a Rocky Maivia feel to him. Came in there, I love this match. And I got to tell you, I really didn't expect to. Apollo Crews not coming out on top made more sense to me. Lashley winning the belt and then having Crews attack the entire Hurt Business after to show a little bit of fight was exactly what I wanted to see from Apollo Crews. I thought they booked this as a lot of the card, a lot better than I expected it to do. How did you think, Jake?
You know, I think that this match, I think they went like 15, 20 minutes. You know, I wasn't really expecting that. I wasn't expecting that out of this match at all, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not obviously the biggest fan of Bobby Lashley. I think that, like, he's pretty good, but, like, I don't, like, is him and Apollo, I don't really connect with either of them on the level that I connect with some other wrestlers on the roster. But, yeah. I mean, it was a really good match. I like you said, the fight. It showed fight out of Apollo Crews. And I'm hoping that he can maybe go into a good feud elsewhere. You know, there's a lot of people that he's a good wrestler. I really like him in terms of in-ring stuff. His character could obviously use some work. I think maybe a heel turn for Apollo would be pretty cool to see. Maybe even, like, I mean, if he were to join the Hurt Business, maybe that would have done something to him, but that would have...
It seems like they're setting that up, by the way. So at first I thought it was going to be Cedric Alexander, but it feels like maybe he's going to wind up turning and becoming a part of that crew. And you know what, though? Hey, if Apollo gets a little bit of edge and he gets more screen time with somebody who is as talented as he actually is, I'm all for it. And you know what, though? This match started out an entire night, an entire card of one of the best WWE pay-per-views they have had since Royal Rumble.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is definitely, like, I was very, we'll talk about it now. I was very surprised with how well this pay-per-view went in total.
This is one of my favorite pay-per-views since the Royal Rumble. I think that every single one of the matches, every single one of it's some of the best finishes they've had in WWE in years. It was entertaining. It was everything that I wanted, a little bit more. It was actually, if I'm going to say, going back retroactively, I will give this a B+. I would give SummerSlam a B now because I thought this brought the action and excitement that SummerSlam actually should have brought, but with Payback.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I'll explain my final grade more towards the end because there's a lot that I take in, like, there's a lot that probably as we talk about this show. This is my first time obviously really talking about this show in deep detail, and so I think my grade that I've written down could change depending on what I like, really what I'm going to say as I go through it. So moving on, Let's go. We were talking about it on the predictions. Big E Langston, Big E. We liked the Langston at the end of it, but they won't give it back to him. He took down Sheamus. You know, it's the start to something great with Big E. I think that he has the opportunity to be one of the top stars. I love Big E so much, especially after that. I mean, that talking smack thing with The Miz. We talked about that off camera. That was fantastic. Like, that was Big E. I would love to see him in a title picture soon. Like, I mean, we're talking about it. Sheamus just kind of feels like the stepping stone for young stars to him and Randy Orton, and we'll talk about him too later in the show. But yeah, I really liked this match. Big E won clean, which was nice, and he looked strong. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, anything that does well for Big E, I'm down with right now. I've loved New Day for years. And let me tell you, if you want to get me connected with one of these performers, you give them that mic. And obviously, it's not a pipe bomb, CM Punk type situation, but the talking smack moments that he had last week, and I love the fact that they tried to replicate it. And what we love about Big E is the fact that he came in there and said, oh God, we're going to have to replicate this. If something goes well, people just completely just go over and over and over it. Not this time. No. He connected. At the end, he said, hey, I'm going to be who I am going to be. And at the end of the day, they're going to like me because I know better than you. And that's what it is. Bet on yourself in life. Say that some random person who thinks they know better than you, somebody who John Moxley said is one of the reasons why WWE is being taken down, 3 letters, and those 3 letters are not RKO. I'll say that much. No, the fact is, though, you let Big E talk, you let Big E be the character he is, and he's going to be one of the best, not just in WWE, but the industry. I'm so glad they started out. I will say it felt a little bit too big men going at it.
Yeah.
I honestly thought what they did later on, and we'll talk about this with Keith Lee, was a little bit stronger in terms of making a star, which I get, but Big E's been around for a while, so you're not making him. But I push Big E, Langston or otherwise, to the moon.
Absolutely. You mentioned Keith Lee. Let's get right into that match. Keith Lee, in his pay-per-view debut on the main roster, took down the 13-time world champion Randy Orton. Good. If Randy won that match,
Good.
if Randy wins, we riot at this point against Keith Lee.
Seriously, yeah. It was smart. You know what though? You give Keith Lee that big push. So if Keith Lee wins that match the way he does, Keith Lee's here. If Randy Orton wins that match, Randy Orton is here.
Randy was here before
without losing that match. He's still here.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So either way, Randy Orton is walking out. Randy Orton is walking in possibly to Monday Night Raw with a title rematch. I heard Drew McIntyre actually has a broken jaw. I'm not actually sure if that's kayfabe or not. Regardless, he's walking in. He's still in the main event because he's won, as you said, a 13-time world heavyweight champion. Randy Orton is doing fine either way. You know what I mean? And the fact that they allowed him to have this wonderful match with Keith Lee and put Keith Lee over clean, made Keith Lee a star, and kept Randy Orton a star, and in fact makes me like Randy Orton more than I probably did before, because let me tell you though, if you don't know about the whole stupid situation with Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, Mr. RKO out of nowhere, is the reason Kofi Kingston got his legs taken out from him about a decade ago. So the fact that one of his best friends comes in there and has to lose and cleanly to Big E, I'm sorry, to Big E 2 weeks ago, and then now to Keith Lee, Big E Keith Lee, they rhyme too well, made me even happier. Because you know what? Keith Lee is limitless, and you see that in everything he does. And by the way, I don't care if he's wearing a singlet. I don't care what his music is. He's one of the most talented performers in the industry. Let him be that, because you're going to make a star.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think that it was very important that Keith Lee won clean. I think that it was very important that he took down Randy Orton. I think that the person he was going against mattered too, because if Keith Lee came in and he was... if Keith Lee came
Baron Corbin, that said a lot.
Anything.
Yep.
So let's talk about Baron Corbin. Matt Riddle, I think it might have been his first pay-per-view. I don't think it might have been his first pay-per-view.
It was his first pay-per-view match.
And he took down King Corbin, as he should. I didn't think I was wrong about this result, but I'm happy I was wrong because it made Matt Riddle look cool. I'm happy King Corbin is more than okay with losing at this point because he knows that that push that he's looking for, that I feel like the company wants him. They want him to be over so badly, but I like him a lot more than I used to. But I still don't really like him. So
Me neither. That's what
I'm
it
not
is.
interested. I'm more interested in Matt Riddle than I am with Corbin for sure.
There's a big difference between heel heat, go home heat, and I'm not going to buy your T-shirt heat. And people think that somehow Baron Corbin has MJF and AEW heat. He does not. Baron Corbin doesn't even have the Miz heat when Miz was coming up against John Cena. Right now, Baron Corbin thinks he's a lot better than he is because of the fact that last year, when they had no one to go against Seth Rollins, they put him in that main event. Great. It's still one of the worst main events in WWE pay-per-view history. Baron Corbin is a chump. And you know what's even more of a chump move by Baron Corbin? And I don't know if this was WWE making this choice to bring this in. But let me tell you, if you're going to bring in the allegations against Matt Riddle in a way that you think is cool or funny or like getting over, it was not. It fell on deaf ears. Watching that just made me think that they don't care about the seriousness of those allegations in life. And that bothered me because this isn't, hey, they did this to Matt Hardy and Edge back in the day, all right? I'm sorry, if somebody has a real life affair, don't make it a wrestling storyline, all right? No, really, you know what I mean? He basically said he was a bad husband. Baron Corbin, you're a bad wrestler and a bad person, all right? So maybe a bro might not be as good as you. And you know what, though? There's a lot of things that they didn't do right about this. But bringing that in, as soon as he said that, and you saw Matt Riddle turn and look at, whoever was announcing at the time, the new Kayla Braxton, and Kayla Braxton is the new Renee Young, who was the old Charlie Caruso. I'm kidding. Renee Young is number one all time. It bothered me. This whole match, the entire match bothered me. And as soon as they mentioned that, I didn't care. I wanted it off my screen. I know it sounds really harsh, but I don't bring that in. If you're going to bring that in, you better start looking into those allegations a lot clearer and a lot more seriously than you did, because you're going to look as terribly as they did in terms of the COVID situation and in terms of a lot of the people. You know what I mean? Austin Theory got demoted to NXT. No. Hashtag fire him, fire Velveteen Dream. And you know what? I've always liked Matt Riddle, but guess what? If those allegations are true, fire Matt Riddle. Don't give him a pay-per-view win. That's my rant. I'm done. But that really bothered me.
Oh, like it's very.
I'm going all KO show right now. You know what I mean? Hey, there's a difference between being a heel and being a face, all right? But if you want to be a terrible person in real life, get off my screen.
Yeah. No, and it's similar to, how the same thing. I don't know if it was WWE writing or whether it was Sheamus, but when they used the Jeff Hardy thing in that feud, it just makes you uncomfortable. It just you feel like you don't want to be watching what you're watching, and it doesn't bring heel heat because everyone knows everybody knows the wrestling is scripted. That's not you're not convincing anybody anymore. This isn't the 80s. No one thinks that they're actually dropping a leg on each other. Yeah, like that's just not. No one's getting like.
This goes back to so Jim Cornette apparently went off on saying that Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville should be fired. Apparently because of the fact that they're breaking kayfabe and showing that they're best friends in real life. Everyone knew they were best friends in real life. The entire storyline was based on the fact that they were best friends in real life. And now that they show they're best friends in real life, you're angry about it? Please, just get off my block. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. I don't. It's ridiculous, but
feeling feisty today.
Oh yeah, passionate about wrestling. It's always,
honestly, I'm going straight Big E today. I loved that. I love the fact that you let somebody just hey, give them an open microphone, let them talk, because you're gonna find out who and what they stand for.
Absolutely. And this was. Let's move on to a match that I got wrong. I didn't think this was going to happen. You knew. It was like you knew, Mr. Jared Schefter over there, like it was going to happen. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, the most unlikely team. I really don't like Nia Jax, but we'll talk about that. They took down Bayley and Sasha Banks to win the women's tag titles, and I'm going to get right into it. That submission with Shayna Baszler having the sleeper hold on Bayley and using Sasha's arm around. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
One of the best finishers I've seen in years. So we joked about
it makes Shayna look so strong.
Yes, so they put her in to the Elimination Chamber and let her beat down 5 other less than other wrestlers or opponents, whatever it might be, and instead Instead, just like with Roman, it took them 5 years to get Roman, and we'll get into this later again, to get him over in a much different way. Shayna Baszler, in one match, looked as badass as they should have made her. Looked like just the challenger that she should have been made to look like against Becky Lynch going into Mania. You walk out, you put your two opponents, two of the best female wrestlers in the world, in a lockdown, in two different finishing maneuvers at the same time, and then use your opponent's other arm and make three of them and tap them out while Nia Jax is just sitting like Big Show. By the way, can I just say, it looked like Nia Jax hurt at least three people, maybe four, including herself during that match. Shayna Baszler, honestly, who I didn't like for years, might have gotten over in my eyes in that one move.
There's something, and the best part about this, they booked this so correctly. I doubt that they booked that to happen. I don't know if they did. I'm sure that was between Baszler and Bay, and when they were still there, how do you want it, whatever. But Shayna Baszler went from someone that I didn't care about before this match to one of probably my top 3 favorite women wrestlers on the entire WWE roster. And out of this, they made 2 new storylines, or they made a new storyline and they continued an old one. They made this.
They made stars tonight. You know what I mean? They made stars tonight in a way that they haven't done in a while and needed to do desperately. And by doing that, and one of them was Shayna too. Just we were talking about Biggie and Keith Lee. Shayna was made, and I guess the Matt Riddle was made obviously a little bit, but at the same time, I think they took too much away. So put that aside. They made 3 stars tonight, and Shayna was one of them.
Absolutely, and I hope they made the Shayna and Nia feud it'll be the unlikely best friend. It feels very similar to the Bayley Beck, but it feels like a classic story of unlikely teammates, but. It'll be a match we'll see in the future. I don't want to see Nia Jax wrestle. I'd rather see Shayna Baszler in a title match against literally anybody else on the roster. And then they continue the Bayley and Sasha thing. There wasn't a ton of. I guess what they're going to play off of is that it was Sasha's arm, and that's what Bayley will say. Oh, it was your arm around my neck. Like,
I will say once again, the fact that they didn't do the most obvious storyline possible of having one cost the other, and they will. And you're right. By the way, it's an incredible point of. Bayley will say, well, you did. It was your arm. They didn't make it so obvious that it's like, oh, you like that Bayley or Sasha hit the other person.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the reason why. It was like, no. Shayna just genuinely dominated both of them at the same time. And then now you're going to see both of them turn on each other in the way that they did the Gargano and Ciampa storyline in NXT. Slowly build it up so it can be felt the way that we want it to.
The DIY breaking up might have been. It's a top 10 tag team breakup for me. I would put that maybe even top 5. I obviously have a soft. I mean, you have the Rockers, and then you have the Shield one. The Shield one was fantastic. I like that one goes. I was genuinely shocked at that one because Rollins. I don't remember. Rollins was not the guy we thought was going to. We thought it was going to be Ambrose.
No.
We thought it was going to be Ambrose returned, and I'm very happy it ended up being
Ambrose. I know, and we both love Jon Moxley than Dean Ambrose. Every time you see Jon Moxley, it seems like he's about to turn even on his best friends, possibly even on Renee Young. So it would not have been surprising to either of us that it happened. And this is what I'm saying is that they set these guys up so perfectly to have an amazing feud. Yeah, the DIY breakup is one of the DIY storyline and then breakup, one of the best storylines they've had in the last decade, probably.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, it was an all right match. I mean, it went besides other than the finish, which was awesome. It was every time Nia was in the ring, it was slow. But let's just
right. And every time everyone else was in it, it was great.
Yeah, but that's kind of how it's gone for the last however long Nia's been WWE. So moving on, another tag team match. We called it. Rey and Dominic Mysterio got their revenge on Seth Rollins and Murphy. It was cool. It was it's all right.
Yeah,
it was fun to watch.
Yeah, that's it. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch, the fact that they had a little bit of that tease of the Murphy Seth Rollins breakup was
That's where
a
that's
lot.
going. That's why they did it, I think, because
Yeah,
they're going to
it was a
end
lot more interesting.
Dominic probably won't have a match for a little bit now. I can't see
Right.
unless something like that happens where we talked about it, unless Dominic turns over to the dark side and joins the Messiah. But Ray, we don't know. I don't really know where they're going to go, but they're kind of just developed another storyline for Seth Rollins to get into.
Yeah.
That could be Seth Rollins just turning on Murphy and just saying, "Oh, you failed me," and yeah, I don't know. I don't know. For once in my life, I can't with WWE. I can't predict past a certain point where this one's going to go. So
Well, so here's my only worry is that they held off on the turn, so maybe so Murphy's no longer his disciple,
yeah,
but then it turns out to be Dominic Mysterio.
yeah,
You know what? I think that match was put exactly at the right time on the card because I think that was the okay, sort of feel good moment. But I honestly, hey, you called it. Dominic Mysterio not having a match for a while is probably a good thing because when you see Dominic Mysterio, when you see Keith Lee, when you see Big E, when you see all these other super talented people having their first match, and then Dominic's there too, it doesn't come off the right way. It's like, all right, you did it. You know what it feels like with Dominic Mysterio? Yes, way to go, pat you on the back, but it also feels a little bit like the celebrities who come in there for WrestleMania and do a good job, and you're like, wow, for a celebrity, that was good. But then you see Pat McAfee do that with Adam Cole, and that was an amazing match, and it just makes it seems like he is an attraction that won't last as long as they want him to, and I'm very okay with that.
oh yeah, me too, me too. It feels like a celebrity appearance. I was like, okay, like it happened. That's a storyline. End it now.
Great.
Don't
Right.
don't
Right.
drag it out. Please don't make me uninterested because I'm already over the mountaintop of interest in Dominic Mysterio.
Done.
And if you take him off now, I don't care. I'll forgive you.
Right.
We're good, WWE. Me and you,
Right.
we're still like this.
Right.
You know, you keep Dominic Mysterio in WWE. You have him fight at Clash of Champions. You're gonna have him fight at Survivor Series.
Right.
Like, it makes me not want to watch it. It makes me not want to watch the feud anymore because I don't care. It's one of those where it's like, oh, I'll check it out on YouTube after. It's not like, oh, I want to watch it live on Raw to see what happens so I don't get spoiled by anything.
Exactly.
I don't care about this anymore.
I didn't care. Yeah. And I think most of the people watching, listening, probably feel the same way.
Yeah. So moving on, main event. This was the match. Not the match of the night, but the match that everyone was watching for. I guess that they ended up. So I love it. I love the result. I love Roman getting the title back. I think that was kind of their plan since Mania. They just kind of pushed it because obviously everything happened with Roman during the pandemic. Roman comes in he beats the Fiend and Braun Strowman. They were dragging out this storyline it was just during the night. I mean, I guess they said stuff on Friday about it, but it was really it was that he hadn't signed the contract yet.
So that's what it was.
Yeah. And
it was a big deal.
It made for a good thing it made for a little funny moment at the end where, I mean, everyone knew Roman was going to come out at the end to pin one of them.
Right.
And wait till they got beat down. But I think it's hilarious how he was walking out with Paul Heyman doing his little penguin walk, and as he's holding the contract, and Roman signs it as he's coming down to the ring. That was a moment I laughed at that.
I loved it. They set up Roman Reigns to be a heel and a star. Once again, took them 5 years, multiple WrestleMania main events to get him over. And I thought it was perfectly handled. I love this. What happened was they keep on making you wonder whether or not we even talked about it on our preview episode. We weren't sure whether or not Roman was officially a Paul Heyman guy. But guess what? The fact that after that ring broke, and by the way, that ring broke in a very funny way that I don't think was supposed to happen. So it's on a side slant right this, okay? And Roman comes out, signs it, comes out there, and then that proves he's the heel. It proves he's the Paul Heyman guy. And then the fact that he kicks the Fiend in the nuts, right?
That was
And then
hilarious. I
beats
was watching
Roman.
with my friend.
What? Like, huh?
I was watching with my friend, and he was like, and he's not a wrestling fan, but I forced him to watch it with me, and it was a bold move to have them do this sort of
It was
payback
perfect.
pay-per-view.
It was perfect because you know what you had to do is you have to have Roman come in there and show he's a heel, and then also so going back to the whole idea of Friday night and signing the contract. So what they made a big deal about the fact that they needed the Fiend, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns to sign it by the end of SmackDown. So what's going to happen? But however, Adam Pearce went into the Firefly Funhouse and had Bray Wyatt sign it. So what now happens is Roman Reigns went in there, wrecked everything, and everyone and left with the belt. And hey, you know what, though? He should have. He got it back, great, because what's best for business is Roman Reigns possibly having that belt. However, I say possibly because I don't think that what they're going to do is what we assume they're going to do. I think SmackDown is going to come, and I think they're going to say, no, sorry, Roman, sorry, Paul Heyman. He might be a Paul Heyman guy now, but Bray Wyatt signed that, and Roman didn't sign it before. So now, going into Clash of Champions at the end of September, they're going to have a match, Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. Not The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And that's where Roman will go in and beat Bray Wyatt, not The Fiend. And that's where Roman will come out with that belt because it's best for business for the WWE and Fox right now to have one of their biggest stars back and better than ever. And as a heel, however, they still manage to keep The Fiend strong.
Yeah, that was the most important thing that we talked about on the predictions was he needs to pin Braun. Because Braun, I don't think it's possible for Braun to look weak. I mean, just look at the man. You can't make him look weak, but it makes Roman look.
It's like the Randy Orton point from before. Right. Randy Orton's walking out of there as a 13-time world champ, regardless. You know, that's the truth. But he can make other people look good. You know what it is, though? It's Pat Mahomes beating Tom Brady. You know what I mean? You need something like that. A Lamar Jackson. You know, it's like you need that next step, that next level to beat them. Hey, you're still looking at him as whoever it might be in terms of greatness, but walking out, all of them looked as strong as possible. The Monster Among Men is still the Monster Among Men. The Fiend, who did not get beat for that title, is still the Fiend. And yet Roman Reigns walked out as a Paul Heyman guy, one of the biggest heels, not just in the company, but in the world, and managed to do what's best for business.
I think so. I would have loved to see if it was. I think if it was in front of a live crowd, I think that a direction they might have gone it very well could have been Brock versus Roman, and I think that they. I mean, I don't really know, but I think in an actual match, if because I don't think they're gonna have that. I think it's temporary until Brock comes back. But can you imagine if Paul Heyman turned on Brock for Roman, like that reaction from the crowd, or if Brock and Roman somehow team up and as that would be, oh my god, that would be sick. If Roman and Brock were a tag team against I don't even know anybody, like legitimately anybody.
Talk about the Hurt Business,
right? That's Roman and Brock fighting. I can't really think of anybody right off the bat.
Literally no one. That's why they can't do it, because no one could. You know what it was? It was like when you had DX versus the versus Taker and Kane. It's like, all right, Brothers of Destruction versus DX. Yeah, if you have those two together, that was when the Twin Towers, Big Boss Man and Akeem, teamed up to go against the mega powers of Macho Man Randy Savage and the Immortal Hulk Hogan, because who could you possibly have go against them? You know what I mean? At that point, okay, well, I mean, good luck.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like
can I bring up something quickly that might be a very interesting, maybe just random, you never see him in the same place so far, but is there a reason why We keep on seeing Retribution in all these different places, but they've never showed up when Roman Reigns was on TV. Now, I don't know if I'm saying that I've never seen Superman and Clark Kent in the same place, but I have never seen Superman and Clark Kent. I've never seen Tony Stark, and I actually know it's the same exact thing, but I have never seen those two in the same place. Does Retribution not showing up mean they are connected with the big dog, the newest Paul Heyman guy, Roman Reigns?
I could imagine, like, I think it would be fun to see a faction. If, let's say, it isn't a bunch of NXT people being called up to the main roster and that, what if it was just like some of the people in Retribution were these WWE superstars that weren't like that just haven't been used in a while. I mean, guys like Cesaro, maybe like people like that would, and with a leader as Roman Reigns being like, I want retribution on this entire company, like this
entire industry.
Yeah, like what? Like, but a faction of Paul Heyman guys.
Hey, it was called the Dangerous Alliance in WCW, and it was Ravishing Rick Rude. They had Stunning Steve Austin. They had Medusa. They had Larry Zbyszko. It was a dominant faction in a way that took over WCW in the early 90s and mid 90s as well. If they brought that back, Paul Heyman guys left and right, that would be an unstoppable alliance.
Yes, but for now, Roman is the only Paul Heyman guy on TV. Brock's not there. Listen, this was overall pretty good match. I think that, I mean, we saw it was a beatdown. It was just like a brawl between The Fiend and Braun Strowman. Very predictable. We figured that was going to happen. So that would be the end of the show. Jared, what is your final show grade? Are you still going to stick with the B that you gave in the beginning?
I'm giving it a B+. I'm downgrading SummerSlam to a B. I'm going B+ for that one because I thought that they set up storylines. I thought they set up stars. I thought this Payback, this WWE pay-per-view, was the best they've had since Royal Rumble and some of the best finishes they've had in years. Talking about that Shayna Baszler finish, talking about the Roman finish, talking about the Keith Lee finish. The entire card for me was one of the strongest and best, and it makes me excited for the fall and for all the storylines they have set up going forward, because it makes me feel like for the first time in who even knows how long, they actually have an idea of where they're going. And let me tell you, I will go through Lord of the Rings 2 Towers, 2.5 hours of it, 3 hours director's cut. If you tell me that you know that we're heading to Mordor, and it feels like maybe, just maybe, this fellowship finally understands where they're going, and it could be an A- by the next pay-per-view if they continue. And also, it felt like a big fight field night. Something about it starting to feel a lot bigger, a lot better for a while. Granted, it didn't have the KO show, Kevin Owens or AJ Styles. But other than that, I thought it was fantastic. Jacob, what did you give it? And did you change your grade by the end of the night?
So I originally had written down a B for the show, and because it was mostly the Ray and Dominic match was just fun to watch. I didn't really think it really further. That's like that. I was nitpicking down to a B at that point because obviously you have to leave room for improvement. I wouldn't say the show is necessarily in the A's, but after we talked about it, I like the Rollins and Murphy. Like I gave it a B+ as well. I think that with working with what they had with a week build up, they definitely they killed it. So that's that. I give it a B+. I think that's probably somewhere between a B and a B+ is where the show sits. Very good show. Definitely one of the best of the year. I mean, they haven't put on a lot of good pay-per-views this year, but I mean, if this is what they're doing from now on, I'm excited for. It makes me excited, like you said, makes me excited for Clash of Champions, which is not a pay-per-view that I thought I would be excited about, but I'm excited to see what they can do with build-up now with all these fun little storylines that they have. into the next pay-per-view where they have
Yeah.
where more there's going to be more story to it versus just the week build-up. So that will be it today from the finishing maneuver. As
And you
always,
know what? And also, I will just give a special shout out on the finishing maneuver today, as always, to a couple of our fantastic followers on Instagram. To Jennifer Charnow, thank you for being my sister, his mom. Shout out to my boy Ken Bukowski and to the unbelievable great friend Gene Anderson and to Peggy Bukowski, Ken's mom, who's now a follower of us on Instagram. We all appreciate you so very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just being part of our lives.
yes, and if you want to get a cool shout out, you can go follow us on Instagram at The Finishing Maneuver. You can go follow me on Twitter at Jacob Charno. And Jared, where can we find you on Twitter? It's right there.
At
Right
Something Wilder, baby. That's right. Hey, you follow me at Something Wilder, Twitter, Insta. I don't know if I'm totally team follow back, but I usually am. I'm not going to follow you in the street or back to your home, but guess what? I will follow you back on social media. That's a promise.
Yes,
Wink.
and as always, be sure to subscribe to The Finishing Maneuver for all the top predictions, reactions, rumors, and more from all around the wrestling